Well, welcome to another Memphis Monday 122. Stackable, we're going to be making these stackable decorative shelves. We're laying up stock. We're doing some wood turning. We got some interesting connections here where the legs go in. So we got a lot to do, and pretty nice little shelves. But we're not going to get anything done unless we do what? That's right. Let's turn to and get to work. Here's a decorative shelf we built a few months ago. And naturally it's been a few months ago, so now it's filled up and we need to build a couple more. I think we'll make two of them. Make one of them about 32 inches long. About a foot wide. And I think we'll put about 8.5 inches between them. Let's go draw it up and see what we can come up with. Here's our little drawing. Like I said, it's going to be 12 inches wide, 32 inches long. This will be cabinet grade plywood on the inside with oak trim around the edge. And then it's going to have these little flared legs. They're going to be it's going to be a double flare on the bottom and a flare at the top. This is kind of profile here. Got it in actual size here on the next page. Stock will be 1.5 inches, and then this will be the profile. Be double flared, and then I'm going to put a 1/2 inch dowel through the top to reinforce it. And then I have these little felt pads that are 1.5 inches in diameter that will go down here on the bottom. Okay, first thing is to take our stock here and go over to the lathe and try to see if we can get our profile done. I'm going to have 8 legs, so that means I'm going to have 16. I'm going to have 16 ends I have to center, and so what I've done is I've made this little jig. Let's put that little centering jig right there, and then I just put my screwdriver in there. Like that. The first step really in turning these things is I got to find the center, or the halfway point, so that when I cut, when I cut out the little legs, the center here will be my starting point. Another thing I like to do is make sure my hole is big enough where I'm centering these things, so I run a punch in that hole that we made with the drill. And checking it up's pretty easy because I got everything preset. You can see my halfway mark. And now what I'll do is take my parting tool and size that center down to down to that dimension right there. Okay, from here I'll just go ahead and shape the leg using my large gouge. I won't round it over or anything, it's real soft wood. Okay, I got that sanded down, and I stopped it. I noticed that I still have some flat places on the ends here over at this other side too. So I've got to take this end down here just a little bit. I got the legs all turned. Here's the concept. This is 10.5 inches wide, and I'll be adding 3/4 inch trim on either side. That'll give me a total of 12 inches across here, and same thing going down the other way. I got some poplar laying around, some poplar boards. So what I'm doing is I'm gluing them together, and then I'm going to size them down to 1/2 inch. Now the reason I'm taking the time to plane this down to 1/2 inch is because I want these shelves to be nice and light and kind of delicate looking. So I don't want 3/4 inch shelves. I want them to be thinner and lighter. I got another project going on the other workbench, so I'm going to move this workbench over here closer to my chop saw so we can put that trim on. Sticking these together with, or putting this trim on with 16 gauge 1.5 brads. I got to make sure my gun is level and I'm shooting the brads into the center, because I'll be rounding these edges over. And also I want to make sure that the brad gun is, or the brad gun is set where it's leaving a big enough hole to put a filler in. And of course, if you put your wood filler in as you go, then you won't have to wait for it to dry at the end. Well, there's our 2 panels. I'm going to try to round the edges over just a little bit on the router. So let's do that next. Well, here's the concept. It'll kind of look like that, but from now on, everything I do, I'll be making it up as I go along. Let me tell you about my scheme. My scheme is I'm going to take these 3-inch nails and put them through the top into the legs, and then this will be countersunk up here on the top, and I'll fill it in with dope. or a dowel. Let's go see how that's going to work. Okay, the first part of the scheme calls for me putting a hole for that screw right in the center, as deep as I can get into the wood. I'm putting the hole on this flat side that hasn't been marred by the jaws. And here's the countersink that I'll be putting in there. And then I'll fill that with filler of some type. Let's see how it goes together, theoretically. Okay, so theoretically, I'll take and start one of these giant screws through the countersink. Then get the leg started. Okay, then that will pull the leg up tight against this the bottom here, and I'll be able to glue that. Well, I marked where I want the screw to go in, so let me countersink that. Okay, now for the big test. As I say, we're making this stuff up as we go along. I put glue on the end of this, and this screw goes through here. Move the camera so you can see how this thing's supposed to work. Okay, now it's that screw goes in there 2.5 inches into the leg, and it snugged that leg up on that glued surface there. Okay, here's our nice little stackable shelves. Let's look at the next job. Now we have 8 of these little divots here where the screws are recessed in. What we're going to do is we're going to fill those little holes with epoxy and sawdust. I'm getting my sawdust right out of my sander because you want it as fine as you can get it. It's just real powdery. See there? And you can do the same thing with just regular wood glue, but if you got epoxy, you might as well use it. I think it mixes better when I think the epoxy mixes better when you mix it with sawdust like this. Now I just take this dope here and squeeze it into those holes. It's got to be kind of careful because this stuff is very difficult to sand. I mean, you can sand it, but it's hard. So, and while the polyurethane is curing on the other side, I'll go ahead and put some stain on this on the bottom sides of these things. What do you think? Well, I don't know what the top's going to look like, but can't really complain about the the undersides. Okay, I'll go run amok doing something else and let the stain dry, and then we'll put some epoxy on it, or some polyurethane on it. Well, there we go. There's our stackable decorative shelves, nice and light, with our double flared legs, 1/2 inch thick with oak trim, made out of solid poplar. They're made to either be used individually or stacked on up. The idea of the flare, of course, is to help in the stability of the thing. So overall, I think it turned out okay. Well, that does it for another Memphis Monday 122, building stackable decorative shelves. Nice light with our funny design we put on the legs. I don't usually like these kind of random designs, but the point of this was to give it some stability down here at the base. Plus, the narrowness here gives it more room inside. So, anyway, tweet and like and share and comment and Facebook and all the other things you do on the internet. And most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.